Peace and blessings, family. It's your brother Hakeem Mexon. In this video, I want to read y'all a chapter called How to Live More Than 100 Years by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad in his monumental book, How to Eat to Live, Book 1. So it starts off and reads, Allah God has taught me in the person of Master Father Muhammad how to eat to live, so that I also may teach you. He desires to extend our lives from a short span averaging 62 years to a span of 1,000 years, or for as long as we desire to live. He said there is no set time for us to die. Oh my God, we kill ourselves daily by means of what we think, what we eat, and what we drink. Think about it, and you will agree that we kill ourselves. As I said in the earlier chapter, How to Eat to Live, there's no way of prolonging life except by being careful, watching and examining what we put into our bodies to sustain life, and the regularity of our eating and drinking habits. We have been taught what to eat and what to drink by people who has never obeyed the law or religion of Allah God. These rules Allah God gave Moses' people in the Ten Commandments for their good, clear as a mirror law and guidance, which they should not forget. However, they kept none of this. Everything that Allah said thou shalt not do, they have ignored and said thou shalt do. Therefore, the Christian race is no example of God for the one who seeks to obey the law of Allah God, for God now threatens to remove them from the planet Earth. If they would stop deceiving the people, making them believe they are what they are not, and trying to change the natural religion of Allah God into the unnatural, which is false, their doom probably could be delayed. There is a sect among them whose members call themselves Orthodox Jews, a few who still try to follow the Ten Commandments given to them through Moses. These are wiser, more skillful than the Christians. How to eat to live? Allah God said to me in the person of Master Father Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever, that we who believe in him as our God and Savior should eat but one meal a day once every 24 hours. Eat nothing between meals, not even candy, fruit, or anything which will start the stomach digestive processes. In this way, our eating of the proper foods and drinks at the proper time will extend our life to 140 years. This will protect us from sickness. He said we will start our infants eating one meal a day as soon as they are able to partake of solid foods. It will enable them to live an age of 240 years. I then asked him, how about eating once every 48 hours? He said to me, you will be ill only one day out of 4 or 5 years. I asked him, what was the cure for that one day of illness? He said, fast 3 days and you will be all right. I asked him, what about eating one meal every 3 days? He said, you would never be sick if you eat once every 72 hours. This is about 2 meals every 6 days, which will extend our lives to a span of 1,000 years. For there is no poison from the previous meal 3 days ago which has enough power to do you any harm. The fast destroys the accumulation of food poison. The body is made up of water, chemicals, stone, metals, vegetation, and air. All that is in the earth is in some form of our bodies. And you have no birth record of the earth. Although there is a record, you probably do not have it. It is a very old earth. It is not, as you have been made to believe, only 6,000 years old. It is more than 6 trillion years old, and it will be here for a long, long time yet. What comes out of it, such as life, cannot live as long as the earth itself, but it can be made to live a very long time if carefully nursed, according to its nature, as you see, and scientists teach you the long life of the California redwood tree, Sequoia sempervirens. There is mentioned in the Bible of Allah God a saying that his people's life will be as the tree. There is an oak in Arabia, under which they claim Abraham met God, that is still alive today. Allah God never intended that righteous lives should be cut short of 100 years on this earth. I have experience in living and eating according to the way he taught me for a while, and I found it one of the happiest and most peaceful ways of which I ever dreamed. I began with eating one meal a day, forced my family to do the same for several years. Until I was picked up and sent to prison for teaching Islam in 1942. Of course, the government said they sent me up for failing to register. That really was not the reason, for I did not come under the draft law at that time. Some of my followers, 60, 65 years old, were sent to prison at the same time. Persons of such an age were not desired by the War Department. While in prison, the Christians made it hard for us to live as we have been. They deliberately put swan, or the essence of swan, in everything, and the assistant warden made mock of it when I told him my followers lived on nothing but bread and avoid swan, and bread to avoid swan. He said that even the bread had swan in it. We used to make a meal of dry baked white potatoes. We had it hard, and all my followers now in prison still have it hard. All those converted to Islam in prison at present suffer in order to avoid eating the divinely prohibited flesh of the swan. And all that God said thou shalt not do, they said thou shalt do. You who read this book know the Christians are the great false teachers of God, who care nothing for God's law. Since returning from prison, it has been hard for me to adjust my eating habits. For many days in prison, we had to eat 2 or 3 times a day in order to make up for 1 meal a day through trying to avoid eating this divinely prohibited flesh of the swan. This caused me and the others illness after we had cleansed our stomachs of bad food and had begun to eat at the proper time. When we were eating the right food in the right way, we had no doctor bills and no medical bills. There were no medicines to be found in our medicine cabinets. However, as soon as we changed and began to eat between meals 24 hours, we began to call on a doctor and his drugs. And it brought about one complaint after another. I would never have suffered today from bronchial asthma if I had not disobeyed the law of the right foods to eat. Now I am on the way back to try and adjust my life according to the way Allah God taught me. I experienced eating once a day for several years. And I experienced eating once every 2 days for a long time. Then I experienced eating 1 meal every 3 days, twice a week. I never had any symptoms or disease or sickness when I was eating once every 48 hours and once every 3 days. With this method, you feel as though you never were sick in all your life, even if you are 100 years old. Nothing showing our lives but our foolish selves. And that is it for the chapter called How to Live More Than 100 Years. If you made it to the end of this video and you like what you heard today, make sure you subscribe to the channel and don't forget to tap the bell to be notified the next time I upload a next video. Peace.